Can you hear me now? What is going on? What is going on? Can you hear me now? I'm getting green, 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 but it was flashing all kinds of red there. We're back, it says. It's funny, isn't it? Somebody comes nearby or something and like, what? What? She brought bread for me. It was Ishikawa-san. She's been in isolation at home. We're printing and stuff at home. Actually, she hasn't been printing. She's taken a month or 6 weeks off. Her last work was she did a group of the number 4. She worked on the 4th print for this year's subscription series. Then she took a month off, number 5. And then she's back here. She'll be printing a group of the subscription prints number 6 upstairs today. She was thinking about doing it at home, but I guess too much trouble getting the stuff ready, too much interaction, her family, no idea. So she's going to come over here. And the trains are basically empty every day, so it's no big deal. I forgot, there was a story going on. I can't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. Whatever. I should actually get to work anyway. She has too much energy. She has lots and lots of energy. My God. This is as close as we need to get to her. It's okay. Wonderful, wonderful worker. Super worker. She has a real goal. She really wants to get good at this. Really, really wants to get good at this. Anyway, let me a minute here. Try and focus on this and get some work done. Because I should also, what's the stream today? Today's Saturday morning, and the work is going to be just simply chewing away bit by bit by bit at this soup bowl of these things. I have a show and tell. I have a show and tell. It's not a show and tell that I had planned, but stuff happened and I have a fun show and tell. It's something to show you that will then lead to something else and lead to something else and lead to something else. It's going to take 15-20 minutes to talk about that stuff. So give me a good reminder somewhere around 9:10 or 9:15. Dogs, kids. Well, they have a dog there. They're taking care of a dog, a very ancient, elderly dog. They're taking care of. As far as kids go, there's no little. Never mind. We don't need to talk about her age. Whatever. There's no little kids in her house, so it's okay. Oh yeah, the customs thing in Europe. Yeah, that's what. Before she interrupted us to show this thing about shipping to a German drop-off point. We should have done this years and years and years and years and years ago. Because as I was saying, the European countries are all really strict with customs, and this is really hurting both our subscription customers and our subscription business model. Unlike America, where the stuff just floats through and people enjoy it, and there's no duty and customs to pay, the European countries stop the small subscription packages quite a lot, not always, and ask the people to pay duty and sales tax and stuff on them. And that would be okay, except that there's frequently a fee. You pay a $20 fee to have this processing. And on top of the $35, $40, $45 for the print, and the postage, then the $20 fee, and then the fee. It's just crazy. Well, what's going to happen with the new system is we ship them in bulk to our employee over there, our agent. That person has to do the customs importing, pays all the duties, all the sales taxes on the whole shebang, and then posts them out local mail to all the EU countries, which for the moment still also includes Britain. It's not going to for much longer, I guess, but whatever, for the moment Britain is still included in that. So it means that if we do, and if and when we get this set up in the next few weeks, all of our European subscribers, it will be slightly delayed. It won't be direct from Tokyo to them. It'll be direct from Tokyo to the agent, and then a couple of days later it'll be posted to them. But it'll be posted to them as local mail. No duties, no taxes, no nothing. Now it's not all 100% good news because we have to pay all those duties and taxes. Up to now, we haven't paid any of the duties and taxes. That's been the responsibility of the receivers. So the print price up to now has just been the price for the print and then plus shipping. But now every single print will have to have duty and tax paid on it. So we're going to have to put that into our prices for the European customers. And it's whatever the VAT or something over there is, like 13, 15%. I'm not sure what it is. I have to look it up. So we're going to have to raise everybody who purchases in euros to have the prints shipped through this agent. The price will have to raise that amount to carry it. Now our subscription page has always been price protected. People have never had to raise the price during the year. So for the rest of this current series, we'll eat it. But then for new subscribers coming on board, the price for European customers will be higher, but the convenience level will be staggeringly improved. Anyway, that's the plan. Am I actually on this? Am I on the... I'm on, right? Yeah, a little bit. That's right. Do we ask about paper these days? Doesn't need to ask about paper these days. Mine, I'm now between batches. I finished the first batch of the octopuses. I am preparing paper. I was toning it yesterday, and I will be doing more toning upstairs this morning. And then I will be moistening the paper this evening. So starting tomorrow, you need to ask me again about paper out. And Ishikawa-san also, she may be printing here next week or not, or she may just be preparing paper here and then taking it home to print. I have to chat with her about that. What's going on? So somebody's from the UK here, you got charged tax once and then a handling charge and then no tax. It's, as you said, it's pot luck. But people that get hit really get hit hard. And they we'll send a new subscription with a box and it's a £50 handling fee, and people just get really upset with us sometimes about this. Well, Europeans are conditioned to the tax issue, but they still, this way, it'll be all wrapped up. They'll know exactly how much they pay. What's next? Any back issues with the more hunched over position? No, I'm getting used to it. I know. Remember, there's no stress here. I'm not tight. Whether it's down low like this with the Meiji 5 scope or up high with the Meiji 8 scope, the deal is you've got to sit relaxed and you can't scrunch yourself up and be stressed. You're looking down into the scope. We're not putting it against my face. Today's show and tell. I should have showed you this stuff years ago. Whatever. There's only a limit to. There's a limit to the time we've got for these things. Where am I? Using this Meiji number 5 for this clearing job is really sometimes a bit frustrating because, as we mentioned before, the field of view is so small. There's no way. The work I'm doing here right now is not in any way microscopic work. And like people coming in here for the first time are thinking, what is he doing? Why on earth is he using a microscope for such simple work? And again, we've learned with this stream that if I don't use the scope, I just wander all over the desk and we can't keep the camera in the same place, But this is the easiest way to keep the field of view in one spot on the desk so people can see what's going on. wonder how those crows out there have been affected by all this shutdown and stuff. Is their food supply reduced or increased, or I don't know. I guess their food supply is probably decreased. The tourists must have been dropping food on the streets all the time, and or the tourists order one of those famous, I don't know, famous cutlet things, and then decide they don't like it and just toss it somewhere, and the crows would happily pick it up. So maybe their food supply is quite down. I don't know. Whatever, an urban environment, I'm sure crows have no trouble finding food. Oh, streaming, lots of comments here. Somebody raised my Patreon level. Hope it keeps. I wrote about this last night, I guess. Of course, I've been thinking I should have done that post a month ago. Thank you, sir, for doing this. Again, as I read in that post, I really have no idea at the moment whether this is a good thing to continue or whether I should cut and run. And I really, honestly, don't have a clue. We've chatted a little bit about this, the rent here. Am I throwing good money after bad by trying to hold on to this place, pretending the world hasn't changed? Or should I face a new reality? There's a new world and a new system and a new society, cut and run and build a new business model. And I have no idea which I should do. I have really no idea what I should do. So as I said in that Patreon post last night, the lease renewal is coming up in a few months. And that will be absolutely the decision for me. I cannot sign a new lease for 3 years for this place if nobody is going to come. But we really do not want to give this up. Yeah, keep Carmen Carvan. Okay, hi. The thing about the building, clearly, the business model from the past few years is not going to be here soon. Print parties and happy people coming in and saying, "Hi Dave, how you doing?" That's, for the foreseeable future, that's gone. And the rent is what it is. So clearly, what we need and what we have to do here is we have to devise some kind of stopgap business to use this facility for the next, say, 2, or make up your own number, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, until the previous pattern returns. That's assuming that tourism will come back and be a thing again at some point in a reasonably future human society. So we need a business model to use this shop space for the next, say, we're just saying 2 years as a guide. And that, of course, means nothing to do with tourists and nothing to do with foreigners, nothing to do with shipping. Those parts of our business, of course, are still going to continue. Absolutely. That's what we do. That's what we are. We're a print publisher. But this space, how can we use this space? And it clearly has to be domestic business, something local, something that people in the immediate area here or in the shippable area in Japan can use or do or whatever. And we have got a bunch of things we're cooking, but. We've even got what looks like now, we've done spreadsheets and we've got what looks like a sort of viable thing that we can do here for a couple of years. And everything looks okay. Yep, checkbox, yep, checkbox, yep, checkbox, yep. With one major problem. Dave is already busy. So I don't know. I shouldn't talk about it too much because at this moment it's just fantasy, that's all. But, really like this part of it, you know, getting these insides nice and smooth. It's, you know, there's some aspect of OC, whatever, behavior here, getting these smooth, but that's just whatever, that's what we do. Okay, the soup bowl is done, around the soup bowl is done, back here the chopsticks we'll have to repair later, moving along here. That, oh here, another zone at the end. So I'm saying we need travel agents to get on board and advertise print parties and store visits, and I don't think so. I don't think we can just go back to the way it was. I really cannot go back to the way it was. Yes, this is a pattern print we're carving. John's just dropped in. Good morning, John. Travel agents get on board. What did you say? Travel agents get on board and advertise print parties. I think that, I don't know. I think that at some point, whatever it is, I keep saying 2 years, whatever, I think the shop will come back, because we really do not want to throw away 5-6 years of work and all our construction here, and just having this neat place that's sort of the core of our business. I'm going to do everything I can to try and keep this up and running. But having said that, the business model absolutely is going to change. The thing that we were doing here these recent years here in Asakusa is actually not sustainable. We had built something that was hugely fun. It was wonderful, but it was already hugely struggling. The past fall and coming through the winter and into this, what was going to be a spectacularly successful spring, we were hugely struggling, and the problem is people. The print party thing we had built was a fabulous event, but it needed highly trained, very skilled, bilingual staff, and it wasn't possible for me to maintain that kind of a crew. It was okay back in the early years when we did like 3 or 4 or 5 parties a week, it's okay, but in this last year, when we were doing 3 or 4 parties a day, 6 days a week, keeping the staff was not sustainable, which means it always came back to me. Someone booked in sick, someone quit, someone booked in sick, someone's quit. It all came back, Dave, jump into the party room and do this. And my own productivity for anything else dropped to next to zero. I like the parties, I like doing them, I like the interaction with the people, but the thing that we had built, in the way we had built it, was not sustainable. And it was creaking and crashing, and the virus just simply put a bullet in it. But it was already in big trouble. The shop, okay, no problem. Having a shop, being here in Asakusa, having prints for sale, people come in and we talk about prints and do this and that we would like to return to, but there's no way Dave can return to the print party model that we have had for the past few years. It could be that is history, period. That's history. So the idea is, I mean, what do we do? How do we replace it? Do we have some sort of more simplified print party where people just slap a bit of paper on a block and say, okay, I get it, I see how that works, and they walk away with this, with nothing. There's lots of other, I don't know, woodblock print exhibitions, demos all over the country where they do that. There was one at Narita Airport that ran for a while. It's obviously gone now. There was a bunch of girls in kimonos to show people how ukiyo-e prints were made, but the result was just a parody, like a school kid's version of it. And we wanted people to walk out with a really attractive print. barely on. Should be in here. Do you recognize that little clink sound that happens every now and then? That one? Oh, conversation. Oh, I can't read all this now. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Lots of ideas. So print parties only on 1 or 2 days a week. That's another idea, of course, rather than quit them. Put the price way up. Another idea. Pay staff a lot more. Try and get them to stay longer. Yeah, perhaps the store is too much overhead. That's what we said. This is one of the major discussions. The store is too much overhead. Another thing about this shop, when we opened this 6 years ago, we were thinking we've got to be accessible, got to be viewable. It's got to be like on a main street and stuff like this. We temporarily have the upstairs, but knowing we'd be able to get the downstairs with its full rent. This normally is a busy tourist district with tourist district rents. But we've learned it didn't make any difference. We didn't have to be on a main busy street, because everybody comes looking at their Google map anyway. Our main business is not walking business because it's a busy street. Our main business is people who want to come and see us. So we didn't have to be, and we don't have to be, if those people come back, we don't have to be on a front main street. We could be on a back street somewhere, as long as we're near a busy station, like we could be in a Saxa, because people are coming here, but we could be on the back street at 1/10 of the rent. But that means giving up our building, all the things we've built, the workshop, everything, starting again from scratch in some old building. That's another option, yes. Stay around here, give up this place. And it could be that as businesses go bankrupt, it could be some very interesting spaces do come available in the next little while. And it's 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. But I've got to sign the lease 3 months from now. So whatever, these things are all in play, all in the mix, and we're just stirring it up and seeing how this is going to go. I can't read all this at the moment, I'm sorry, really, excuse me. I'll read through it later when I'm having lunch. I always do. There's 2 more corners on this one, here and there. The other thing to mention too about this building, I said we're on a tourist street and it's expensive rent, blah, 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 blah. But actually we have the deal of the century here, Our landlady, we chatted about this before, our landlady is not a venal rubbing hands together landlady at all. She has really been super, super, super supportive of this. The rent we've been paying all these years is way below market rates for this area. Absolutely. She knows it. She has been leaving a ton of money on the table because she likes what we're doing, wants to support it. Her family herself was involved in woodblock print publishing ages and ages ago, when she was a little girl, I guess. They were involved in things like Senschafter publishing and stuff like that. So she has hugely been on board helping us. I haven't yet gone to her, hat in hand, and had the conversation about the rent. I haven't done that yet. I've held back on that for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to keep it in reserve, and 2, I didn't want to have that conversation until the situation in Tokyo really starts to get dire, and that she understands how dire it is. For the past few months, Tokyo has been just normal. There was no lockdown. People are running around. Oh, looks good. We're okay. It's just the flu. And that's the environment she's been sort of living in. So that wasn't the environment I wanted to go and have a conversation with her. But we'll see how it goes now over the next few weeks in Tokyo. Tokyo is sort of nominally on lockdown. But it still could go either way. Whether we're going to end up looking like Italy and Britain or whether it's going to fade away, I don't know. Also, I don't know the situation behind her, whether she is mortgaged up on this building and needs the rent to survive herself, or whether she just owns it free and clear and it all just goes straight into her savings account. If that's the case, she's obviously got a lot more flexibility and ability to work with us to make sure we're still here years from now. But I don't know the background. Okay, I think that's most of the cutting on this first one. Oops, what's that? Okay, I think that's most of the clearing, cutting and clearing on the first one. Let's move down to the other half. Same thing all over again. Here we go. This one's lots more small spaces all over the place. Just get in there one by one by one by one. Have I seen that Terry McKenna has just put an online workshop? No, sounds cool, really. Like, what's he going to do? First week you do this, next week you do this, next week you do this, as a class, or as individuals, one by one, you work at your own pace. Sounds really good. Terry's a nice guy. He's an interesting guy. He's got some good skills. Totally different kind of work than what we're doing. Of course, we're doing highly delicate, crafty work. He's doing artistic stuff. I will have a look at this later when I'm off. Thank you for the tip here. David KP's getting compression. I'm still running clear here now. We had a glitch a half an hour ago, but at the moment I'm still clear. It's all green. What's the time? We're still okay? Oh, a long time. Show and tell. Just laughing at myself, This morning when I was upstairs, actually, I kind of slept in this morning. I hadn't even really known what day it was, When I woke up, I had the idea somehow that it was Sunday up there. So when I woke up, I was thinking, yeah, okay, I can relax today. Don't have to get downstairs early, so let's just take it easy. And I just sat there and just relaxed, laying in the futon, looked at a bit of email, this and that, and then I realized, wait a minute, it's Saturday today. There's a stream. And this was already about 15 minutes before 8 o'clock. And I'm like, okay. It's actually quite possible I could have forgotten the stream this morning. My pattern now has become a question of not even knowing what day it is, because there's nobody else around here and stuff like that. Anyway, I did remember, so I did get ready. So then as I'm coming downstairs, putting my pants on and getting this and going on and whatever, okay, what are we going to do today for a show and tell, Dave? Just skip it. It's okay. Just tell them it's okay. No show and tell. I was in a rush this morning. And then I kind of felt bad, people are caring about that. They've instead of going to watch a movie or something, they're sitting here watching you because they like that part of the streams, So I was thinking, what should I do? What should I just grab something at random from the shelf and blah, 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 talk about it? And then as I was coming downstairs here, I saw on the floor a package that came yesterday from our Ome workshop. I had asked the Ome people to send something over. I thought, oh, that will do it. They'll really like hearing about that story. But then I gathered together the other props for it. It's not just the thing that came from Ome that I have to show you. It's a little bit of background to that. And then I realized, Dave, I know why you suddenly rubbed your hands with glee, because you realize it's not a show and tell. It's a show off and tell. Take it easy, okay? Don't show off too much. Whatever, things are what they are. Actually, there's a reason for me sleeping in this morning. I was up late last night. I mentioned this in the Patreon update last night. Working on a video, I'm not sure what's the word, script is the wrong word to use. Working on a video, script, whatever, plan for what to say in the next video. And I think actually it's possible I'll be recording something like that this afternoon. We'll see how it goes. Cleaner ladies at work, set your alarms 8:36, 8:36 or something. I don't know. You guys are so busy today. God, I want to join this conversation, but I can't do it. So. You could do an entire stream without pants and we wouldn't know. Little do you know. Well, let's not go there, okay? But no, remember sometimes I get up and go and get something and you see my bum there. So yeah, I can't really do that. So. No socks. Oh my God. No socks. What is the world coming to? The lady across the street, she has nightmares about this, She is a formal Japanese lady. She's about my age, maybe a bit older than my age, whatever, She runs the shop across the street. We call her the bag lady. She sells handbags, okay, whatever. She used to own this building, the one that we're in, and she sold this building to the lady who is our current landlady. So the lady across the street, she has a long connection with this era. The shop, her shop, they used to specialize in handbags and accoutrements on little bags for stage people. Kabuki people that needed a little tobacco pouch to fit some specific whatever, that she and her husband supplied, those sort of things. That part of her business is pretty much gone. Her husband passed away years ago. And she now has just small sort of little decorative bags and decorative handbags and stuff like that. And it's a what do you call it? Not a nominal business. What's the word? It's a sort of she's in business but doesn't sell anything. She owns the building and that's her life. So she just keeps on making stuff just to keep alive and keep active. But she is a lady of her generation, and every now and then Dave comes running down the stairs here. And he's barefoot inside the building, but to get from the second floor to the first floor, I have to step outside for like one step. And I do so barefooted. And she was walking by one day and saw me, and she had a heart attack. The idea that you would put your foot bare onto the outside dirty street, and then put that same foot bare onto the floor of your home or shop. That's just her. That's the end of the world. It's just whatever. Shoes are shoes, outside is outside, inside is bare feet or socks or whatever, and you cannot possibly in any way whatsoever mix the two. So every time she sees me, she sort of swallows hard and don't get too close to this guy, I might get contaminated yet or whatever, And I have made it sure never, ever, ever to walk inside her shop, of course, because she would just internally freak out, The bag, they had shoes inside. Of course, she knows foreigners do different things in different countries. Of course, even me now, if I were living back in Canada or wherever, there's no way I could wear shoes in the house. I mean, I'm being totally self-contradictory here. Dave walks outside in bare feet, then walks inside. I get it. But I could not live in a place now where you walk with your shoes outside and then walk with those shoes into your living room and put your feet up and stuff. It just seems so bizarre that people actually do that, So yeah, I'm being absolutely contradictory. And carpets too. I would never, ever, ever, if I had any choice about it, live in a place that had a house that had carpets. Just impossible. So, barbarians, uncivilized barbarians. And for her, I am the grossest barbarian in town, absolutely. So, Dave, did the first batch of cats turn up? Yes, but hold on, okay, we've got enough going on here right now, and also I have to be respectful of our printer here. Now that you've mentioned, I'll mention it. I have a package upstairs, the first batch of test prints from the 8 cat series. But this is not a tease. They are not something I can show you in public, because I've got to respect the printer's feelings here. Sometimes with a brand new block and a brand new print, and especially a print where there's no finished sample, the first versions are tests. Let's try this, try this, try this. We push the envelope. There's no way we want a pink sky, but put a pink sky in. Let's try this. So the samples I have are weird, bizarre, really, really interesting prints, but they are not for public consumption yet. I'm sorry. So we will see those things. This is now coming down the pipe. The first batch of test prints is here. Maybe the next batch of prints are ready to show you. So yes, hang in there. Things are coming, but out of respect for Suga-san, I cannot just simply, hey, wow, let's look at this right now. I'm more carefree about adhering to Japanese values. They are. I mean, I'm a mix now of the two things, of course. I am not Japanese in any way. I will not take Japanese citizenship because I'm simply still such a different person. I'm not the best person to ask about this. Asking my kids or my staff or the people that are around me are the best people to ask. How Japanese has Dave become? What has he rejected from Japanese society? Or whatever, just too much. So yeah, and even in my own mind, I don't even know how to answer that. What have I accepted from Japan? What do I reject from Japan? I know we've actually chatted. The stream actually comes back to this conversation quite a bit. Running a business here in Japan is a really, really good example of how contradictory this can all be. I am the boss here of, it was 30 people last year. It's no longer 30 people, but whatever. I'm still the boss of the organization, and you have to decide, are you going to play by Japanese rules or are you going to play by Western rules, case by case. In the case of our building here, the workshop upstairs, shoes off on Sunday, it's a no-brainer. Of course, this is Japan, we do that. But the cultural relationships between people, do we do it the Japanese way or do we do it the Western way? And there's no single, clear answer. And it's a real polyglot mishmash. And I get in trouble sometimes. There is that old saying, which is sort of true at core, when in Rome, do as the Romans. When you're trying to swim in the pond over here, you have to recognize that the water is what it is, and if you try and go against all social mores, you're going to be in trouble, But there are things that the Japanese people do, or certainly in a business sense and in a relationship sense, that I don't want to do it that way. So there's always a give and take, and there's always a frustration sometimes. That's the lady out there. She's sweeping the street. I don't think you can see it. The camera's looking down the street to the left. She is sweeping in front of her shop right now with her outdoor slippers on. She really helps keep clean. I was sort of a little bit semi-sarcastic about her a minute ago, but she's one of the core members of the community, of course, absolutely. A core community member. She thinks I'm weird, but she's the normal person here. I'm the outsider here. So. Again, I'm sorry I can't. There might be questions for me. There might be comments I should be talking about. I'm sorry. I can't catch all this stuff here. Excuse me. Thank you. I will read all this. I've got 2 muffins ready for lunch today, left over from yesterday, and I will enjoy my muffin and a cup of coffee, and I'll read through here. Oh yeah, you can see her below the camera here, right? Did you see her just through that window? Yeah. I do not want to move this thing. I moved it before. When Ishikawa-san came from upstairs, or when she came in from outside, I moved the computer. That's when it crashed. I'm not going to touch this. Did I check your email for the question? No. Was there a question beep? I didn't hear such a thing. Let me get back there. Twitch questions. There is indeed an unanswered question. Yes. Question about wood, 842. Okay, it's a complicated question actually, a complicated question. Asking about the wood supply. I don't know, it's a complicated question. Remember I described in the stream the other day that the way logs are chopped in the lumber yards these days is not suitable for the woodblock printmakers. Logs are chopped quarter sawn or whatever. It doesn't end up in a suitable structure for us. We would, in real life, we would like to take a full log and slice it a certain way so the wood wouldn't be usable for furniture makers, but it would be really usable for us. And that was possible in the old days because there was many printmaking workshops and many furniture makers or house makers or whatever, and logs were processed in the right way for each group of consumers, woodblock printmakers. There's none left now. There's me and Asuka-san, and pretty much that's all left. Who knows what kind of wood we would use? And we are not enough of a consumer base to allow for a lumber dealer to process wood in this way. It's simply not possible. Even if we were trying to start to sell wood to people like Karen or overseas, whatever, there just still would not be enough, whatever. So we're in a conundrum that we would like the wood to be processed a certain way, sliced a certain way from the log, but we cannot order it that way. So the person in the question here is asking, we do it ourselves, buy a whole tree, have it sliced this way. The problem is that we don't know what tree to buy, and we don't even ourselves know how to have this processed, and we don't even know step by step whether that particular piece of wood is going to be usable for a wood block like ours, or whether that particular piece of tree should be used best for furniture. In the old days, there were people who could choose right in the mountains, that's a tree, that's what those guys down in Edo who want to carve wood blocks, that's the one they need, because the knowledge was there. Nowadays, the knowledge isn't there, so it's not just a simple question of going to a forest, identifying a tree, buying it, getting patron support, $30,000, whatever it would need, buy the tree, have it processed exactly the way we want it, try and teach people what we want, try and convince them to do this. The years-long process of drying it, flipping the boards, drying them, flipping them, cutting them again, sawing them again, the 2, 3, 4, 5 years process that would finally get one of those boards from that tree onto the bench, where we find out that wasn't a good tree after all. It's a conundrum that we have no possible way to solve, except for one way. Increase the business of woodblock printmaking in a traditional way. Get more people on board, get more students on board, get more workshops on board. A decades-long process of increasing the world of woodblock printmaking to the point where it's worth somebody trying to build up that knowledge. So I'm sorry, it's a rambling answer to a question that has no specific clean answer. Why don't we just buy trees and cut them the way we want them cut? If we knew what we wanted, if we could clearly explain to people what we wanted, it would help, but we can't do that. We ourselves don't have the knowledge. The knowledge is gone. It just needs to be recreated bit by bit by bit, starting with exactly what you're seeing me doing now. Carving a piece of wood, saying, nope, that doesn't work. Carving another one, saying, yeah, that looks better. And trying to figure out how to reverse engineer it all the way back up to the forest. It's not going to happen in my lifetime. How's the time? We're okay? So much going on here today. So much going on. Coming along, coming along. What's left? Another zone in the middle here. This one is almost finished, actually. Don't quite think I've got time to finish this right now. Then we'll go around the outside, and then it'll be time to repair this block, in fact. That might be, what's today? Today's Saturday. Might that be Monday stream? No, impossible. Thursday, let's book this for Thursday. Let's call that Thursday stream, doing the repair on this block. I've got to gather some tools. Show and tell time. It's 9:13. Is it time? I don't know. Let me do a little, just 2 minutes more here. Let me do a little bit more on this. I said 9:15, right? So let's stick to that. Let's do that. You see how it's coming along. Nearly done. Key block is nearly done. Just a few more minutes work. Literally just a few more minutes work left on that. Okay, we promised to show and tell. Show off and tell time. Someone's acting here. Oh, John's here. John Amos is here. Yes. Cherry thin stock. Yes. Excuse me. Okay. Okay, as I said, today's show and tell, what it's going to do is going to be step by step. I'll show you one object first, which will then morph. It'll take the conversation onto something else, and then onto something else, and then maybe 4 stages. I'm not quite sure. I haven't actually calculated what's going to go on here. First up is one of our typical show and tell type objects, an older print from our collection. This is a ukiyo-e copy. It's 20th century ukiyo-e copy. And this one is made, we think, somewhere just about exactly 100 years ago. It'll be 1919, 1920. Oh, by the way, that stuff we showed, was it Thursday? Remember those Taisho era reproductions? I said 1919, 1919. They were 1914, 15, 16. Those things were published. I found out. Somebody asked some more questions later. I was close. And this one's the same thing. It's the same era. This is Taisho era, possibly moving into early Showa. I'm going to guess 1919, 1920, 1922. It's a reproduction of an Utamaro print. And it's made by, this is extremely, extremely rare. Not rare in the Sotheby's $1 million sense, but rare in the whatever, this kind of sense. This is made by the Adachi company here in Tokyo, and one of their very earliest first things they would ever have made. This is the Adachi seal that was used, and again, I don't know exactly date by month by year, but this was used in that era, in late Taisho. And this print is made, I got wood scraps all over the bench here. It is astonishing. When I saw it, I bought it in Yamada Shoten, same place I bought those other prints we talked about on Thursday. I bought it in Yamada Shoten. And it was just like 3,000 yen. They just Utamaro reproduction, who cares? 20th century reproduction, who cares? They don't care. They don't sit there curating, this is a good one, this is not so good, this is bad. They don't care. They've got a standard concept. they will sell, these days, though those days, the price was about 3,000 yen for standard Utamaro reproductions like this. And maybe, whatever, these days it's quite a bit more. Anyway, the workers in Adachi, Toihisa-san, who's the guy who ran that company back then, his mission to them was to make prints better than they had been made in the old ukiyo-e era. In the ukiyo-e era, cut, 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 rough, rough, go, 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 bang, bang, bang. By now we're making a reproduction, and the idea is let's try and do this properly. Adachi isn't like this anymore, but anyway, back then they were. The hair you are seeing here, if you watched the octopus carving last week, you'll know we tried to do it. It's 2 blocks. There's a fine level of hair coming out, and then over and above that, there's a darker hair going into the rich black. And these are lined up exactly. The lighter hairs, and on top of them, the darker hairs. And they all fade out to nothing. The lighter hairs fade to nothing, and on top of them, the darker hairs fade to nothing. This is work of a level that, whatever, it was done back then, and there isn't anybody alive here today who can really do it as well as this. Then they passed it over to their printers, and away they go, and the printers did it. And this paper now has become softened and aged. I think I mentioned this before. If there was a fire here and I could only grab one object to run out into the street with and save my life, this would be the print I think I would take. You're seeing artificial aging here. They put what's called cracked ice. Mica prints in the old days were made beautifully smooth, but as time went by, when the prints got folded and creased, the mica would chip off along the crack lines. And this was antiqued when they made it. They put chipping and cracking. They would probably print the mica smooth first, then the guys in the workshop, crack, 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 crack. They would roll it up. In fact, you can see the crease marks where it's been rolled up and then flattened out. See the crease marks here? It's a glorious, glorious, glorious object. Now probably Mr. Becker has probably already linked to step 2 of this. When I was making my Beauties of 4 Seasons project, I needed 4 prints from an older era, Heian, Edo, Meiji, and modern, and I needed spring, summer, autumn, winter. Edo meant summer. I needed a woman. This is Edo era. This is a summer design. So I picked this original to reproduce myself when I was making my Beauties of 4 Seasons project. So I reproduced this print, meaning carved it and printed it. And I succeeded in part of it, and I failed miserably at part of it. Let me get that out of the way here for a moment. Here's my key block. We're going to be able to do this. How close can we get before it breaks up? Here's my key block. This is carved the same way that we saw a couple of weeks ago when we were carving the octopus. The lines here, I came down with my knife, cutting each one, cutting each one, cutting each one, and then tried to taper off the ends so that they would become invisible when they were each printing. Where's the reproduction? Where's the, not reproduction, where's the printout from the key block? I don't have a printout just from the key block itself. I've got a printout. It's 2 blocks. It's the key block for the light hair, and then on the back side of this is the next block for the overlaid hair, which is again carved one by one by one by one. It's dark stuff here, sorry, it's difficult to see to show. So we have 2 blocks that have to line up, all with the hair carved quite delicately. And here's a printout of the 2. And you can see where I succeeded and where I failed. The lines are carved sort of okay. The light ones are okay. They taper off to next to nothing. But the darker ones on top of them, they also taper off to next to nothing. But for some reason, I was never able to get it so that this line disappeared. And you can see there's a line here where the dark ones end. If we go back to the Adachi version, we don't really see that line. You can maybe figure out where it is, but for the most part, we can't see it. So in order to get rich black, you have to put black here, but that puts it too long. And look at mine. I didn't even get a rich black at the top, and you can see the ends of my black. So they weren't really tapered properly. Now, sometimes on a block like this, there's 3 blocks involved. There's the hair underneath, there's the rich black on top, and there's a gray undertone block. We've got that on the octopus. You'll see next week when I finally finish the step-by-step printing of the octopus. There's a gray block which has what's called itabokashi. It fuzzes out at the edge, and that helps give the gradation effect on this. That's okay. I'm not ashamed of my work here. I did okay, but so my carving skill clearly outran, I believe, my printing skill. That's okay. Back in the old days, this was different people. The carvers carved what they did, then they passed it over to professional printers. I think part of it too is they've brought their black ones right over. This one's got the black right to the very end of this, you know. This one here too, the black comes right to the end. We can't see the other one. Anyway, that's the first part. That's the second part of this story. We move on now to the third part of this story. Let me zoom out a little bit. So we have here this set of blocks. Oops. Question, are the irises printed in 2 blocks? Yes, absolutely. In nearly all of the prints of this type back in that era, the center of the eye is on a separate block, darker. And that means, oh my God, registration has got to be microscopically exact. Okay, so pause for a moment now. Now I showed you a few days ago, I opened just quickly, it wasn't part of the show and tell. I've lost it. I showed you some snow prints that were received from one of our printers. They did a batch of a Hiroshige snow print. And that printer called me last week and he said, I need some more work. Now this man is not one of our normal employees. I cannot tell you who it is because he is he's an employee of another print workshop here in Tokyo. He is very, very, very good. And because he's a contracted employee, in every contract here in Japan, you're not allowed to moonlight. You're considered to be an employee of a company, no moonlighting. He has been moonlighting for us now for nearly a year, so I cannot give his name. When we stamp the printer's names on the prints, we do not put his name on, we call him Suritaro, Mr. Printer, whatever. Anyway, he called up last week, finished the snow job, what's next for me? So, you can see where we're going with this. What's next is, let's think about sending him this set of blocks. This man is a super professional printer. Dave has obviously done a better job carving here than he did of printing, but let's turn it over to Mr. Suritaro to see if he can print this properly. So that's the plan. I asked Ome to send me the block set, but I also asked them to send me something else. This says Hiroshige. It's nothing to do with Hiroshige. This is just a package they used to send me something. I phoned one of the women in Ome and said, grab your portable phone, go upstairs to my old storeroom. I'm going to ask you to dig around until you can find something for me and send it over here to Asakusa so I can check it and send it to Mr. Suritaro. Back in 2004, when I was making that Shiki no Bijin series, the Beauty of 4 Seasons series, I was making 200 of each. I made 200 of the spring print, no problem. In the summer print, I made 100 first, sent them up to subscribers. There wasn't that many subscribers, so I started the second batch of 100 for the summer print. It got later and later and later. NHK called, they wanted to see some carving. I had to start carving the autumn print. That rolled on, winter rolled on. And I never finished the second batch of the summer print. I prepared the paper, I printed the key block, I printed one of the colors. It went in the freezer. I moved on to the autumn print, and that was 2004. Living in the freezer for over 10 years was 100 sheets of the key block and one color. This is printed by Dave in 2004. It lived in the freezer for about 10 years until we finally needed the room for something else. So we took it out of the freezer, dried them off. So this paper I printed in 2004, and it is now going to be brought back to life, sent to Mr. Suritaro. He is going to moisten it, he's going to do some test printing, and he is going to see if he can do a better job at printing this than I did. And this is the deal about this freezing this paper, you know. You can freeze it and throw it in the freezer for 10 years and then bring it back out, and it is just like it never even was done. And this is paper. It's high quality paper from Iwano-san from like 15 years ago, much better than the paper we have nowadays. I pressed it within an inch of its life. It's got a beautifully, beautifully smooth surface. And he's now going to take this, and on top of this, he's going to print the darker black one, after some testing, of course, and then all the colors, and put the mica background. And hopefully, if all goes well, we will have this in our shop next month. We'll see. This is one of the first jobs I did after getting the microscope, you know. There's no way. I could not have done this without the microscope. This is done, you know, I don't know if I could do this now, you know. These are long hairs. The octopus you saw me carve just a while ago, very, very short hairs. Chup, done, chup, done, chup, done. These are long and thin and long and thin. Some of it too, you know. This is okay, this is straightforward, but look at this. The hairs just come out one by one by one. Your knife just slides out into empty space. But some of it, you can't. Your knife has to stop because the line is here. So the hairs have to get thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, and your knife then has to stop without breaking that line. That's tough. That's tough. So there we have the three stages of this. We have the original Taisho era print. Somewhere here we have one. Here we have, yeah. We have Dave's reproduction from 2004. I just couldn't get the hair rich and black, you know. This, of course, this is antique. It's 100 years old. This is brand new. So we have 1919, 2004, and now we are going to see a new version printed on top of this, coming soon to a woodblock print shop near you. Freezer power. The thing is, can he do this to the level of quality we want? I don't know. He's really a good worker. He's really a good worker. But it's going to take some convincing for him to really crank up and be really careful and do this. So I'm going to send him maybe 10 sheets of paper first as a test, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to waste the whole batch if it turns out that he doesn't want to give this a go. But we'll see. Okay? Yeah, the paper toning, but this is not artificial toning so much. This is just simply 100 years. 100 years of natural aging. The paper would have been normally white, just like this one 100 years ago. My prints too, you know, my prints will look much better 100 years from now. I really wish I would be around to see them, but I'm not going to have the chance. Can't be helped, whatever. I know they're there. Okay, here we are. I have now got to get to work. There are 6,000 things waiting for me to do this morning. some of which is my own paper toning upstairs. This is Saturday. I'll be back here Monday morning. I don't think we'll do that repair. I promised people, I'd warn them in advance when that was done, but I don't think I'm going to be ready for that. I can't find my saw that cuts on one side only. If I can figure out where that is, then we can do the repair. So Monday will just be probably a normal test printing stream on that. We'll probably test print the key block and make some color block transfers. That might be happening on the Monday stream. We'll see. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. See you next Monday, and thanks very much for all the support and lots of messages from the Patreon people overnight too. Thank you very much. Those are also much appreciated. See you Monday, guys. Good night for now.